What would you do if you felt that crushing pressure in your chest right now and you were completely alone? Picture this moment. You're at home, maybe reading or watching television, when suddenly your body sends you a signal that something is terribly wrong. Your chest feels heavy, your arm aches, and panic starts to set in because there's nobody there to help you. Here's the truth that doctors don't often share with us. When you have a heart attack and you're alone, 89% of people don't make it. But here's what's even more frightening. Most heart attacks don't look like what we see in the movies. They start quietly, with symptoms so subtle that we dismiss them as heartburn, fatigue, or just getting older. By the time we realize what's happening, precious seconds have already slipped away. But what if I told you that those next 10 seconds after you recognize the signs could completely change your outcome? Today, I'm going to share with you the exact 8 steps that saved a man's life when he found himself alone during a heart attack. Steps taught by a cardiologist with decades of experience. These aren't complicated medical procedures. They're simple actions that anyone can remember and perform. Actions that could mean the difference between life and death. Number 1. The reality of having a heart attack alone. Imagine waking up at 3 in the morning with an elephant sitting on your chest, and the closest person who loves you is miles away. This is the terrifying reality that millions of Americans over 60 face every single day. You've built a life, raised a family, worked for decades, and now you find yourself in that quiet house where every creak of the floorboard echoes your solitude. The statistics are sobering, and I won't sugarcoat them for you. When someone has a heart attack while alone, 89% of them don't survive. Think about that number for a moment. Nearly 9 out of every 10 people. These aren't just numbers on a medical chart. These are mothers, fathers, grandparents, people just like you who thought they had more time. But here's what makes this even more heartbreaking. Most of us who live alone have felt that quiet fear creeping in during the late hours of the night. What if something happens? What if I fall? What if my heart gives out and there's nobody here to help me? It's the fear we don't talk about at family dinners or coffee with friends, but it's there, sitting heavy in our chests like an unwelcome visitor. Let me tell you about Mr. Joel Santos, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. Last September, he was reading his evening newspaper when he felt what he later described as someone tightening a belt around his chest. His left arm started aching, and sweat began pouring down his face even though his house was cool. Joel was completely alone. His nearest neighbor was a quarter-mile away, and his daughter lived 3 states over. But here's where Joel's story becomes different from those tragic statistics. 6 months earlier, his cardiologist, Dr. Sandra Ferreira, had spent 20 minutes teaching him exactly what to do if this moment ever came. Not generic advice, but specific, life-saving steps that could keep his heart beating until help arrived. Joel didn't panic. He didn't waste precious minutes wondering if it was really happening. He acted. Today, Joel is alive because he understood something that most people never learn. The difference between surviving and becoming another statistic isn't luck. It isn't having someone nearby. It's having the knowledge and the preparation to fight for your own life in those critical first minutes. And that knowledge, that preparation, that's exactly what we're going to give you today. Number 2, the truth about heart attack symptoms. Forget everything you've seen in the movies. That dramatic scene where someone clutches their chest and collapses, that's Hollywood, and it's killing people. The real heart attack, the one that's stalking millions of Americans right now, is far more cunning and dangerous than anything you've seen on screen. Picture this instead. You're doing something completely ordinary. Maybe you're folding laundry, or watering your plants, or just sitting in your favorite chair. Suddenly, you feel pressure in your chest, not sharp pain, just pressure, like someone placed a heavy book there. Your shoulders feel tired. Maybe your jaw aches a little. You think to yourself, I must have overdone it yesterday, or this is probably just indigestion. This is exactly how 70% of heart attacks begin, not with dramatic pain, but with whispers. Your body is trying to tell you something life-threatening is happening, but it's speaking in a language most of us never learned to understand. And here's the cruel irony. The quieter the symptoms, the more dangerous they can be, because we dismiss them until it's too late. Martha, a 68-year-old grandmother from Texas, told me her story. For 3 days, she felt unusually tired. She couldn't understand why walking to her mailbox left her breathless. Her back ached, and she had this strange nausea that came and went. She blamed it on the flu, stress, getting older. On the 4th day, she collapsed in her kitchen. Later, doctors told her she'd been having a heart attack for 72 hours. 72 hours of her heart crying for help while she dismissed every single warning. The truth is, your heart doesn't always scream when it's in trouble. Sometimes it whispers. It sends you subtle signals that something is terribly wrong. That unexplained fatigue that makes you want to sit down every few steps. That pressure in your chest that feels like anxiety but won't go away. That pain in your arm that you blame on sleeping wrong. These aren't signs of getting older. These could be your heart begging for help. But here's what changes everything. Once you know what to look for, once you understand your heart's secret language, you gain the power to recognize a heart attack in its earliest, most treatable moments. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the hero of your own survival story. Number 3, risk factors and their impact. Your heart has been beating faithfully for over 60 years. It's pumped blood through your body during every joy, every sorrow, every milestone of your life. But here's what no one tells you about aging. Your heart doesn't just get older, it becomes more vulnerable, and that vulnerability multiplies when you're facing it alone. Think about your daily reality for a moment. Maybe you take medication for high blood pressure, or you've been managing diabetes for years. Perhaps you carry a few extra pounds that weren't there in your younger years, or you've been a smoker for decades. Each of these conditions doesn't just exist in isolation. They work together, creating a perfect storm that makes your heart more susceptible to attack. But it's not just the medical conditions, it's the loneliness itself that becomes a risk factor. Studies show that people who live alone have a 40% higher risk of heart attack than those who live with others. Your isolation isn't just emotional, it's physically dangerous. When you're alone, stress hormones stay elevated longer. Your blood pressure remains higher. Your heart works harder just to keep up with the anxiety of facing life's challenges without immediate support. Here's where it gets even more frightening. When that heart attack strikes someone living alone, something called psychological paralysis often takes over. It's that moment when your brain, overwhelmed by the reality of what's happening, simply freezes. You know you should call for help, but you can't move. You know you should do something, but you don't know what. Minutes tick by, precious minutes that your heart can't afford to lose. I've spoken to survivors, and they all describe the same terrifying experience. The moment they realized they were having a heart attack, their first thought wasn't about calling 911. It was about how alone they were, how no one would find them for hours, maybe days. That fear, that overwhelming sense of isolation, can paralyze you when you most need to act. But here's what I want you to understand. Yes, living alone increases your risk. Yes, having health conditions makes you more vulnerable. But none of these factors sentence you to become a statistic. Knowledge transforms vulnerability into strength. Preparation turns isolation into self-reliance. You may be alone in your house, but you don't have to be alone in this fight. Number 4. The 5 main warning signs of a heart attack. Your heart is trying to save your life right now by teaching you its emergency language. Every signal I'm about to share with you could be the difference between recognizing a heart attack in time and missing your chance to survive. Pay attention, because your heart's whispers are about to become crystal clear. The first sign is pressure in the center of your chest. Not a sharp, stabbing pain like you might expect, but pressure. Imagine someone placed a 20-pound weight right over your heart. It might feel tight, like someone is squeezing you, or heavy, like you can't take a full breath. This pressure might come and go, lasting a few minutes at a time. Don't dismiss it as anxiety or heartburn. Your heart muscle is struggling, and this is how it calls for help. The second warning is pain that travels. Your heart attack might start in your chest, but it won't stay there. The pain can radiate down your left arm, sometimes your right arm too. It might climb up to your jaw, making you think you have a toothache. It can spread to your back, between your shoulder blades, making you wonder if you pulled a muscle. This traveling pain is your heart's way of saying the problem is bigger than you think. The third sign is extreme fatigue that comes from nowhere. You'll feel tired in a way that doesn't make sense. Not sleepy tired, but exhausted, like someone drained all the energy from your body. You might struggle to walk across a room that you've crossed 1,000 times before. You might need to sit down after simple tasks that never bothered you. This isn't normal aging. This is your heart working so hard to stay alive that it's stealing energy from everything else. The fourth warning combines shortness of breath with cold sweats. You'll suddenly feel like you can't catch your breath even when you're sitting still. Your skin might become clammy and cold, and you might start sweating for no reason at all. Even in a cool room, you might feel like you're drowning in air. This is your body's emergency response kicking in. The fifth sign includes dizziness, nausea, or vomiting. You might feel lightheaded or dizzy, like the room is spinning. You might feel sick to your stomach or actually vomit. Many people, especially women, mistake these symptoms for the flu or food poisoning. But when they appear with any of the other signs, your heart is sending you its final warning. Here's what makes this truly dangerous. You don't need all 5 signs to be having a heart attack. Even 1 or 2 of these symptoms, especially if they're new or different from anything you felt before, could mean your heart is in crisis. The key is recognizing that these signs don't belong to normal life, and when they appear, every second counts. Number 5. The 8 life-saving steps if you're alone during a heart attack. When Mr. Joel felt that crushing pressure in his chest, he had a choice: panic and become part of that tragic 89%, or remember the 8 steps that Dr. Ferreira had drilled into his memory. These aren't complicated medical procedures. They're simple actions that kept his heart beating until the paramedics arrived, and they can save your life too. Step 1 happened in seconds. Joel sat down immediately in his sturdy kitchen chair, not on his soft couch where he might sink back and restrict his breathing. When your heart is struggling, standing up forces it to work harder to pump blood against gravity. Sitting gives your heart the help it desperately needs. Don't lie down flat, and don't try to walk around. Find the nearest stable chair and sit. Step 2 saved his life in the most direct way possible. Joel chewed 1 adult aspirin, 325 milligrams, not the baby aspirin many of us take daily. He chewed it completely before swallowing, because chewing gets the aspirin into his bloodstream faster. Aspirin thins your blood immediately, helping it flow past any clots that might be blocking your heart's arteries. If you can't find regular aspirin, chew 4 baby aspirins. Don't swallow them whole. Time matters, and chewing matters. Step 3 required courage, but Joel did it without hesitation. He called 911 and clearly stated his address twice, even spelling out his street name. He said, "I'm having chest pain, and I think it's a heart attack. My address is..." Don't downplay your symptoms. Don't say you might be having a heart attack. Be direct. The dispatcher needs to send the right help immediately, and your clear communication can save precious minutes. Step 4 was something most people never think to do. Before the paramedics arrived, Joel unlocked his front door and turned on his porch light. If you have a security system, turn it off. If you have a key hidden outside, tell the dispatcher where it is. When you're having a heart attack, every second the paramedics spend trying to get into your house is a second your heart can't afford to lose. Step 5 required Joel to recline his chair back to about 45 degrees and elevate his legs slightly on a footstool. This position helps blood return to your heart more easily without making you lie completely flat, which can make breathing harder. If you don't have a reclining chair, lean back on your couch with pillows behind you and put your feet up on a coffee table or cushions. Step 6 was about connection. Joel sent a short text to his daughter. "Having heart attack. Called 911. Love you. Don't make phone calls that drain your energy." A simple text lets your family know what's happening without exhausting you. Keep it short, clear, and send it to the person most likely to respond quickly. Step 7 became Joel's lifeline. He focused on breathing slowly and deeply through his nose, counting to 4 on the inhale and 6 on the exhale. This controlled breathing helps keep oxygen flowing to your heart and prevents the hyperventilation that panic can cause. Don't take quick, shallow breaths. Deep, slow, intentional breathing can literally keep you alive. Step 8 was the most unusual, but it worked. Every 30 seconds, Joel pressed firmly on his wrist to feel his pulse, and when he felt it, he gave 2 strong coughs. This technique, called cough CPR, helps maintain blood circulation when your heart rhythm is irregular. The coughing creates pressure in your chest that can help pump blood when your heart is struggling. These 8 steps kept Joel alive. For the 17 minutes it took paramedics to reach him. They can keep you alive too. But only if you remember them, only if you practice them, and only if you have the courage to act when your life depends on it. Number 6. 3 golden habits to prevent heart attacks. What if I told you that 3 simple changes in your daily routine could reduce your heart attack risk by 70%? These aren't expensive treatments or complicated procedures. They're choices you can make today that will strengthen your heart for all the years you have left to live. The first golden habit is walking 30 minutes every day. Not jogging, not running, just walking. Picture Helen, an 81-year-old woman from Arizona who started walking around her neighborhood block every morning after her doctor warned her about her heart health. She began with just 5 minutes, stopping to rest on her neighbor's front steps. Today, 3 years later, she walks for 45 minutes without stopping, and her recent heart tests show the cardiovascular health of someone 20 years younger. Walking doesn't just exercise your heart muscle. It opens up tiny blood vessels around your heart, creating what doctors call natural bypasses. When you walk regularly, your body builds its own backup system for blood flow. If one artery gets blocked, these tiny vessels can take over, literally routing around the problem. Your heart becomes more resilient, more prepared to survive challenges. The second habit will transform your kitchen and your health. You must drastically reduce your salt intake. I'm not talking about the salt shaker on your table. That's only 10% of the salt you consume. The real danger is hiding in processed foods, canned soups, frozen dinners, restaurant meals, and even bread. The average American consumes twice as much salt as their heart can handle. Think about Robert, a 73-year-old widower who lived on frozen dinners and canned soups after his wife passed away. His blood pressure was dangerously high, and he was taking 3 medications just to keep it under control. When he started cooking simple, fresh meals and reading every food label, his blood pressure dropped so dramatically that his doctor reduced his medications. His risk of heart attack plummeted, and he discovered he actually enjoyed cooking for himself. Start reading labels like "Your life depends on it," because it does. If a food item has more than 400 milligrams of sodium per serving, find a different option. Cook more meals at home using fresh ingredients. Your heart will thank you with every beat. The third habit is the hardest but most important. If you smoke or drink alcohol regularly, you must stop. I know you've heard this before, and I know it's not easy. But here's what might change your mind. Every cigarette you smoke increases your heart attack risk for the next 24 hours. Every drink of alcohol makes your heart work harder and raises your blood pressure. Meet James, a 67-year-old grandfather who smoked for 40 years and had a beer every night with dinner. After a mild heart attack, he quit both habits completely. Within 6 months, his circulation improved so much that his chronically cold hands and feet were warm again. Within a year, his heart was pumping more efficiently than it had in decades. Today, 5 years later, he has the energy to play with his grandchildren and travel with his wife. But remember, these habits work together. Walking without fixing your diet won't save you. Eating well while continuing to smoke won't protect you. Quitting smoking while remaining sedentary isn't enough. It's the combination of all 3 habits that creates that 70% reduction in heart attack risk. The beautiful truth is this: your heart has an amazing ability to heal and strengthen itself, even after decades of damage. Every healthy choice you make today starts repairing yesterday's harm. Every day you walk, every low-sodium meal you eat, every day without cigarettes or alcohol, you're not just avoiding heart disease. You're actively building a stronger, healthier heart for all the adventures still waiting for you. Number 7. Mental preparation and personal commitment. Knowledge without preparation is just information, and information won't save your life when your heart is in crisis. What separates survivors from statistics is the mental rehearsal, the physical preparation, and the unshakable commitment to fight for your own life when it matters most. Right now, before this video ends, I want you to do something that could save your life. Get a piece of paper and write down those 8 life-saving steps. Don't trust your memory. Don't think you'll remember them in a moment of crisis. Write them down clearly. Sit down safely. Chew an aspirin. Call 911 with your address. Unlock your door. Recline at 45 degrees. Send a short text. Breathe slowly. And press your wrist while coughing. Take that paper and put it on your refrigerator, where you'll see it every single day. Put another copy in your bedroom, one in your living room, and one in your purse or wallet. Make these steps as familiar as your own phone number, because in the moment when your heart is failing, familiar actions become automatic responses. But writing it down isn't enough. You need to mentally rehearse this scenario. Close your eyes right now and imagine feeling that pressure in your chest. Picture yourself recognizing the symptoms immediately. See yourself calmly walking to your kitchen chair and sitting down. Visualize reaching for the aspirin bottle, chewing that tablet, picking up your phone to call 911. Mental rehearsal isn't morbid thinking. It's survival preparation. Practice finding your pulse on your wrist. Do it right now. Press your fingers firmly below your thumb until you feel that rhythmic beat. Practice that controlled breathing. 4 counts in through your nose, 6 counts out through your mouth. Practice unlocking your front door quickly, even in the dark. These physical actions need to become second nature. But here's the most important part of this preparation. You need to make a personal commitment to your own life. Too many people, especially those who live alone, have resigned themselves to the idea that if something happens, it happens. They've accepted that they might not survive a medical emergency because they're alone. That resignation can literally kill you. I want you to make a promise to yourself right now. Promise that you will fight for your life. Promise that you won't give up if your heart starts failing. Promise that you'll remember these steps and use them. Promise that you'll make those lifestyle changes that prevent heart attacks. Promise that you deserve to live, to see more sunrises, to hug your loved ones again. Write this commitment down too. Sign it like a contract with yourself. Because when that moment comes, if it ever comes, you won't be fighting just for some abstract idea of survival. You'll be fighting to keep the promise you made to yourself today. The truth is, surviving a heart attack alone isn't about luck. It's about preparation, knowledge, and the fierce determination to stay alive. You now have the knowledge. You have the steps. You have the prevention strategies. What you do with this information, how seriously you take this preparation, that's entirely up to you. Your life is precious. Your story isn't finished yet. And with what you've learned today, you have the power to make sure it continues for many years to come. Today, you learned something that could literally save your life. You discovered that being alone during a heart attack doesn't have to mean becoming another tragic statistic. You now know that those quiet symptoms, the ones we so easily dismiss, are actually your heart's urgent call for help. And most importantly, you have 8 specific steps that can keep you alive when every second counts. Think about Mr. Joel for a moment. 6 months ago, he was just like many of you, living alone and wondering what would happen if his health suddenly failed. Today, he's alive because he chose to prepare. He chose to learn. He chose to believe that his life was worth fighting for. That same choice is now in your hands. You have the power to recognize those early warning signs before they become life-threatening. You have the knowledge to act decisively in those critical first minutes. You have proven strategies to strengthen your heart and reduce your risk by 70%. But knowledge only becomes power when you act on it. So here's my question for you. Which part of what we've shared today spoke most directly to your heart? Was it learning to recognize those subtle symptoms you might have been ignoring? Was it discovering those 8 life-saving steps? Or was it realizing that simple daily habits like walking and reducing salt can transform your health? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. If this video gave you hope or practical tools you didn't have before, please share it with someone you care about. Someone who, like you, deserves to know they can take control of their health and their survival. Remember, every day you wake up is another opportunity to choose life. Choose preparation. Choose to fight for all the moments still waiting for you. Your story isn't over yet, and now you have the tools to make sure it continues strong and healthy for years to come. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.